Alright, we are back at it with another video. And today's video is, I know my subscribers can read the thumbnail. What if Esidisi, the anime calls him Esidisi. No, I'm not calling him that. Uh, Esidisi. What if he turned good? Yeah, he's one of the many JoJo characters that has AC/DC references, because Rocky freaking loves that band. Here we go. Time to talk about what if AC/DC turned good, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are interested to hear it, because you clicked on the video, and there's probably some kind of peak interest. So, let's talk about it. But before I get into the video, I gotta give a special shout out to our good friend Ice Poochie for requesting this one. My man's good with requesting a couple of good videos out there. He's given me a lot of decent ideas, so might as well use this one as well. So thanks to Ice Poochie for requesting the video. Hope I do this one justice, and I hope you enjoy this one the most. Anyway, let's actually get to the timeline and actually talk about this what if in general. Okay, so we start off with battle tendency. So at this point, everything has run off the same. We're still at the beginning of battle tendency. We've gotten to Straitso becoming a vampire, getting defeated. Santana's thing goes the same. You know, everything there, it all goes the same. But there's going to be a big change until we get to like the AC/DC fight. I'm going to stick to the first fight because if we're going by the second fight logic, that means we're just going to have AC/DC fighting in Suzy Q the whole time. And I'm not comfortable writing that. In this alternative universe, Joseph decides to keep AC/DC alive. Let's say during their fight, maybe Joseph is like, he defeats AC/DC, decides to keep him alive. Is this out of character? Yeah, because AC/DC really wasn't that honorable compared to like Wamu. I mean, yeah, he was more honorable than like Cars, but like, I don't know. This one's a hard what if to write because AC/DC literally just got done killing Loggins. And I'm pretty sure Loggins is not going to survive in this alternative universe. Unless Loggins does survive, assuming like Loggins beats him, does some kind of Taekwondo Jitsu crap out of it, like him and Joseph work together to do it, and then they save Loggins, and they like save Loggins while turning AC/DC good. Maybe, but I don't think it would. I know a lot of people may say it's weird because in my Wamu what if I had Joseph talk Wamu into turning good after he straight up killed Caesar. But there's a difference because Wamu did earn Joseph's respect. In the case of AC/DC, he didn't earn Joseph's respect whatsoever. But in this timeline, AC/DC does get the respect of Joseph, somehow. And Joseph decides to make himself an ally with AC/DC. Even though he killed one of his allies, but like, then again, like if the whole idea of them wanting to let Whole Horse join despite him killing Abdul was happening, then so be it. Joseph would have aligned himself with AC/DC, let's be honest. Alright, so this prevents the entire second half of battle tendency from happening, and it would also be a little bit harder to actually get to Switzerland. But then again, I'm pretty sure they still do that whole thing where they get to Switzerland somehow. I'm guessing AC/DC is the one who just gives them the logic about it, about everything going on. Then we still get the whole thing with Stroheim and Cars, but Cars would probably be, I guess, more betrayed or more angry because, you know, one of his pillarmen, one of his buddies, AC/DC abandoned him and betrayed him for the Hormone Warriors and the good guys. So Cars is probably more angry at AC/DC for turning evil, and not only that, but since Cars and AC/DC were the only real pillarmen left, minus from Baby Wamu and Baby Santana, this would probably lead to Cars feeling abandoned and betrayed by his former ally who's now part of the good guys. And this would probably just end up leading to probably AC/DC fighting Cars instead of Joseph. I mean, I think it would work in the story, and I think it fits. Maybe he just does something with like his lava to go against Cars. I'm pretty sure AC/DC would not win this fight, but then again, I think he could do pretty good. And I'm pretty sure with enough help, he would probably at least stand up on his own against Cars. Cars probably finds a way to escape, and I still think everything goes on the same there. And not only that, but they're also going to have to find a way to counter, I guess, AC/DC's weakness of the sun. Maybe he just wears a hood for the rest of the part or something. Who knows? That, or they just put a mountain of sunscreen on him. I'm just gonna assume they just find a mountain of sunscreen and just dazzle this dude up with sunscreen. That's the only logical conclusion I can come up with for how ACDC is making it this far. Alright, so we're at this point where we're going to the Caesar stuff, and in my honest opinion, I don't think Caesar would die. In my opinion, I actually think that ACDC would have probably tagged along with Caesar, but however, once they get to the castle, ACDC would just chop Caesar in the head and like knock him out, and would probably tell Wamu that, hey, we need to align ourselves together. Cars is not a good person. He's only using us. Us Pillarmen know that Cars is not all honorable. Joseph and Caesar and Lisa are honorable. You know, that's whole spiel and crap. And then Wamu could probably just be convinced, because I'm pretty sure ACDC would just make good points. Wamu's like, alright, I don't like this whole idea anyway about being the ultimate life form, I guess. But then again, he'd probably rather be the ultimate life form than have Cars take that power for himself. So ACDC and Wamu would just go and become friends together. And this would change two things. For starters, Wamu is actually a good guy. And it's kind of like my Wamu timeline, but the only difference is that he just turns good earlier, and Caesar never dies. So in other words, two big things come out of this timeline, and Cars has more people to deal with. Now, I'm pretty sure in this case, Cars is probably just going to have a zombie army just ready to go after the Pillarmen. To go after everyone, because at this point he would. And I'm pretty sure Cars would try to pick a fight with ACDC and Wamu first, but at least Lisa would probably be the one who wants to pick a fight with him, and we get to that whole beginning stuff. But I do think ACDC and Wamu would take the stone and the mask from Cars, and I'm pretty sure they would turn themselves into the ultimate life forms to try and stop Cars. Because I actually think it would be pretty interesting for them to do that, to prevent Cars from getting his dream of becoming the ultimate life form. That, or maybe Cars gets to become the ultimate life form and we get some kind of ultimate life form Pillarman triple threat out of it. But I doubt we would, and I think we'd probably just get Wamu versus... And I just think we'd get Ultimate Wamu and Ultimate ACDC just beating the crap out of Cars. Unless we get an Ultimate Life Form throwdown, along with like all these hormone guys helping out, which could be a cool feature. I don't think it would happen, but I'm pretty sure it would just be the Ultimate Life Form duo just destroying Cars. And that would just be it for Battle Tendency. It would be a lot shorter in this alternative universe for sure, because you have two Ultimate Life Form and two Pillarmen just bullying through a good chunk of the story. And that would just be it for Battle Tendency. It'd just be like that. And anything after Battle Tendency, if you're wondering, I think they would actually go and find Santana, because Stroheim could just tell them what's happened to him. They could tell Santana everything that happened after Battle Tendency, and I think ACDC and Wamu could confront Santana and get him to join the good guys. So in this alternative universe, Santana would become a good guy, and we would actually get a good guy Santana, who becomes the ultimate life form. So 3 ultimate life form Pillarmans on the team. Wow, that is crazy. I don't really know. I honestly gotta be honest, this is just gonna shorten down the part, but let's talk about every part after part 2. And not only that, but on a side note, I also think Stroheim would survive the war. With all these ultimate life forms here, and plus Caesar probably fighting in the war, I'm pretty sure Stroheim would actually make it past the war. And before you're wondering, yes, I'm going to include Caesar's whole thing with his son getting killed, and I'm going to include that whole thing with Julius and Rose and Dominic and Nico. So, yep, the OCs are still in the story, whether you like it or not. And that's really not the point. The point is, we're going to get to Stardust Crusaders, and it's going to be messy. So we're at Stardust Crusaders, and we have 9 characters on the team. We have 3 ultimate life forms, and we have 2 old characters from the past. You know, a Hormone Master and a Nazi cyborg, and you got 4 OCs who probably have decent stands. Probably not Star. I could see maybe like Julius having a Star Platinum Silver Chariot tier stand. Maybe Dominic, I don't know. And Nico and Rose would have crazy range stands like how Avdol and Kakio would do. But yeah, here's the thing. Now that we have 3 ultimate life forms, it's safe to assume that it's going to be easier just to get to Egypt in this alternative universe. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll still get the plane crash, so obviously you still get to meet Polnareff, so we can get that to happen. And not only that, but with the ultimate life forms being able to fly, they could just fly the group over to Egypt pretty easily. I mean, this would probably lead to Dio needing to send more aerial assassins to go after them. I'm pretty sure they could take the plane, but then once the plane is crashed, they'd probably decide, hey, let's not just waste time and just walk around and deal with enemies. Let's just, geez, I don't know, fly over to Egypt. That would be easier, wouldn't it? Good point, good point. So let's just, in this alternative universe, they could just fly over to Egypt. I'm pretty sure in this timeline they could have done that back in Japan, because they have 3 ultimate life forms. You got Joseph, Caesar, Jotaro, Abdul, Kakyoin, not Polnareff, but Julius, Rose, Dominic, Nico, and Stroheim. You have around, you got Joseph, Caesar, Stroheim, Jotaro, Kakyoin, Abdul, Julius, Rose, Dominic. You have 10 people. You have 3 ultimate life form Pillarman gods. Just have them fly everyone else to Egypt, like, have everyone just have random cast just sit on, like, the ultimate life form's backs and let them just carry and fly them to Egypt. It's just that simple. Not only that, but Storm could have updated his body to give himself, like, jetpacks or something. I just realized, literally, they could just skip through a majority of the adventure in this alternative universe. Heck, I literally could have just addressed that in the WAMU what if. I mean, to be fair, it'd been, like, 1 ultimate life form. I don't know if he could carry, like, 6 people all on his own, or maybe 5 people on a dog. But in this case, 3 ultimate life forms, 10 people, or like just 9 people, because Strom could probably get like jetpacks or something. Bam, they could just fly everyone to Egypt. I don't know how long it would take, granted, probably take like a couple days, but it's just that easy, and I don't really think there's really any assassins Dio could send out that could deal with these threats. I mean, going through the Part 3 enemies, who could have? Tower of Grey is way too weak, and besides, I'm pretty sure the Ultimate Life Forms could just blitz him pretty easily. Polnareff couldn't fly, so he can't get to them either. This also means, this also eliminates Dark Blue Moon, because he's a water state, because his whole thing is water. Strength's eliminated, because it's just a boat. The other one, the doll stand, Devo, his stand, he can't do nothing, he's just a doll. How is he gonna get into the air? Rubber Souls maybe can turn into like an airplane and try to attack them that way, but even then, I don't think he's gonna be able to do that. Whole Horse really couldn't reach up that far. Jay Guile is fast, but he's not fast enough to travel up to that point and get that far into the sky. Empress can't do nothing because Empress's users on the ground, so it can't really spread its weird disease thing. It can spread the syphilis it has. ZZ Top is a car. How's it gonna get up there? Enya literally could try, but I doubt she could get her soul things to get up in the air. I'm pretty sure they could just fly higher and avoid that whole thing. Steely Dan can't put lovers up there. I mean, he could, but even then, I don't even know if that would help out. I mean, it's possible. Actually, Dan could prevent them from making it far. So if Dio just sends Dan out really early, then maybe he could hold them off for a bit. But even then, I'm pretty sure they can just do the stand strength thing and just defeat Dan that way. With more allies, it's possible, actually. After Dan would be the Sun. I guess the Sun stands a chance, but, like, I don't know if that one might actually work. Okay, that one, okay, Dan probably wouldn't do 12. The Sun is the only one that I think stands a chance. So, the best bet would be to throw the Sun out first for this to happen. But assuming Dio doesn't throw out the Sun off the bat, next enemy was the baby Death 13. I guess they could sleep, but I don't really know how far Death 13's range is actually. I'm pretty sure they never explained how much range Death 13 has to catch you in a dream, so I don't really know there. The Genie stand you really can't interact with because you're not going to be on the ground. High Priestess is a maybe, but like I don't really think they could I don't know. I think they could make it there pretty safely. Nodal can't reach them from on the ground, especially since he wouldn't be able to sense where they are. Oingo and Boingo can't do crap. Anubis, maybe if it has the right user, but no. Mariah, there's nothing for them to interact with. Alessi could maybe, but like highly unlikely. After Alessi is older Darby, you're just skipping a gambling match. You really can't avoid that. Pet Shop maybe could, but like I'm pretty sure the Ultimate Life Forms would just destroy Pet Shop if we're being legitimately honest with ourselves. Uh, Nothing younger Darby can do. We just it's this is another case like older Darby. Oh yeah. Now I think about it, yeah, we'd still have Pet Shop, and you got to deal with them. So we were able to make a Tyro Egypt, and we skipped over a bunch of characters. I'm pretty sure this is the timeline I'm just gonna stick with because realistically, it's just a smarter scenario, and it would have made much more sense. And I think they could actually have made it. I know people in my timeline in my comments are probably gonna not really like this answer from me, but I'm just gonna be honest. It just makes so much logical sense. It'd be stupid if the Crusaders decided not to. I mean, granted, it wouldn't be a surprise, and it's possible Rocky would have to nerf the Ultimate Life Forms. But having 3 Ultimate Life Forms and, like, a few humans, that would be an easy, let's just hop on our back and just, we'll carry you all the way through. It's that easy, and I'm pretty sure the cast would know that's the right thing to do. So I'm just going to assume that's the route we'll go with, because it actually sounds like a funny scenario. So, okay, they lazily made it to Cairo, Egypt. No threats, none of that. No real standing experience gained. They're just there. They've made it fast, and now they're ready to kill Dio. Alright, we go into fight Pet Shop. Realistically speaking, Abdul would just neg Pet Shop. Honestly, the Ultimate Life Forms can destroy him, and even if it's not the Ultimate Life Forms, even if they're not part of the fight, like if they get frozen to the ground and they can't move somehow, Abdul's fire just completely blitzes it. So yeah, Pet Shop's not even a threat to the team. Now when it comes to Younger Darby, this would lead to a big split. So obviously it's going to lead to some of the characters being taken away. Now, I'm going to say for the sake of the story, Jotaro, Joseph, and Kakyoin get taken away. And I'm going to throw Julius, Rose, Dominic, and Nico into there. We'll say those characters get thrown away. And we'll put it... I think we'll keep one of the... I'm not going to put any Ultimate Life Forms in it. We'll keep to those 7. So it leads to Esidisi, Wamu, Santana, Stroheim, Caesar, and Abdul being the ones who have to deal with everything else. I'm pretty sure Younger Darby could go the same. I don't know. It would probably take a lot longer since Jotaro isn't as experienced as a stand user. But I still think they stand a chance of beating Younger Darby. Now when it comes to everything else, well, I guess Kenny G, they could still deal with him because Abdul's firepower and the Ultimate Life Forms just being super advanced, they should be able to destroy him. So yeah. Now when it comes to Vanilla Ice, assuming one of the Ultimate Life Forms do push Abdul out of the way, we'll say it's like Santana or ACDC or something like that. About that, there's still going to be their arms left over. And Ultimate Life Forms have crazy regeneration power from what I remember. And if there's at least a bit of the Ultimate Life Form left over, yeah, they can just regrow their body. Unless Vanilla Ice just quickly takes that arms and hands and just eats it quickly before they could regrow. Maybe, but I'm just going to assume not. So this prevents any Ultimate Life Form from being killed in this alternative timeline. So, yeah. And not only that, but with Caesar, Stroheim, and Abdul, even if Vanilla Ice is a human or a vampire, it doesn't matter. He is not winning this fight. He is getting destroyed. The cast don't even... And even if this is human Vanilla Ice, whether it's a human or vampire Vanilla Ice, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure regardless, Vanilla Ice is just getting destroyed. Because just the hacks on these teams... I mean, Ice could put out a long fight, but he's not going to do that long. He's fighting 3 Ultimate Life Forms. And even if we're putting like 1 or 2 of them in the Younger Darby room, I'm pretty sure just one of them alone, plus with the rest of the team we have, they could have destroyed Vanilla Ice. So Ice is getting completely wrecked here, in my honest opinion. Now, when it comes to everything with Dio, well, with having 3 Ultimate Life Forms, it's pretty safe to assume that if Dio does that whole moving them down the steps thing, they should be able to figure out his time stop pretty easily. Well, yeah, that's easy. Okay, everything happens. Dio makes his escape probably, and I guess if we're gonna have to fight in Cairo, Egypt, well, the ultimate life forms are just gonna wreck Dio. Having three ultimate life forms here just means they wreck Dio. Not only that, but I'm pretty sure for the sake of the story, we could just say if Dio was able to somehow incapacitate them. Uh, well, I guess one change for sure is that Kakyoin never gets killed or donut in this timeline, or no one would in this alternative universe, because they have the ultimate life forms. They have three ultimate life forms. The ultimate life form canonically has an IQ 400. Having three 400 IQ ultimate life forms is the equivalent of 1,200. So 1200. So a 1200 IQ all combined together, that should be able to figure out the world's power pretty easily. Nothing else would really change, honestly. If anything, I'm just going to assume the ultimate life forms get taken out somehow in the fight. Maybe Dio does something to take them away, and then fights Jotaro, and then Jotaro can still develop his time stop, which I'll assume happens no matter what. Well, that's kind of the what if. Polnareff never becomes a good guy. He's infected to his flesh bug thing, and he's out of the story, unfortunately. Uh, Iggy is probably doing his own thing with the Speedwagon Foundation and probably doesn't really get involved in much stuff. That's the timeline. Well, I'm just gonna stick with this timeline because why not? I actually want to do something original for once. I don't want to stick to some boring. The Crusaders have to go through this long 50-day Egypt trip, and I don't want to go through every fight there. I actually want to do something innovative and interesting. I actually want to make this timeline unique for my other ones. So I'm sticking to this timeline where they just fly over to Egypt in a few days. They don't have to deal with no one, and that's how the story I'm going to go with. I'm going to have fun with this timeline. I'm sorry if no one likes this idea, but I actually think this timeline has a lot of potential to be fun, and I want to go through the rest of these parts because I actually think this timeline has been very interesting so far. Sorry if no one likes this. Tough luck. I picked this video timeline, and I'm going to stick with this one because it's actually fun. Let's go. Alright, so now we're in Diamond is Unbreakable. Let's just say I'm going to remove the Ultimate Life Forms from this timeline because if the Ultimate Life Forms are here, they're going to kind of just ruin Part 4. Listen, if you remove them from Part 3, I think you can still get a normal story out of it. But if you keep them in Part 4, let's just say Kira's just going to be caught earlier in this alternative universe. Because I don't really think there's nothing Kira could do to outdo the Ultimate Life Forms. There's really no hacks he can have. I mean, sure, maybe bite the dust, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think Kira's making it that far. Yeah, he's smart, but he's not going to beat the combined 1200 IQ of the Ultimate Life Forms. So, yeah, I just don't see Kira making it far. I'm pretty sure I would just remove the Ultimate Life Forms from Part 4. It's a fair option, and I just don't really think it's possible for Part 4 to really happen or make it far. I mean, I still think we would get a Part 4, obviously. Obviously, you still get everything going on with Akira and Angelo and the Nijimura brothers, and, all that stuff would still happen. But I honestly just don't think the final half would really happen. I mean, probably Kira would probably have been defeated. I can still see, maybe Sheer Heart Attack arc still happening for sure. But, after that, they should be able to solve Kira pretty easily. I think they would be able to examine, Rohan's pictures very well, notice very small details, all three of them could have, and would have just realized that Kaito is Kosaku. They could do research into this boy, go to, some kind of, local elementary schools, and learn more about Hayato, hey, who's this young boy? I know it sounds a little weird, but they could be like, hey, who's this young boy? It's oh, this is Hayato Kaoji, his father's Kosaku Kaoji. And then give him, an address. They go to Kira's house and, wreck him. Listen, that is if we're adding the Pillarmen in Part 4. I personally wouldn't add them in, because for starters, I don't really think there's much of a reason to add them in. And even if they're here, I honestly just don't want to... I just think it just kind of just ruined Part 4 and all that. Well, who would be in Part 4 in this alternative universe? If it's not the Ultimate Life Forms. Well, for starters, Joseph's going to be a lot better, because I think with Caesar around and all that, I actually think they could continue their little rivalry Caesar can motivate Joseph to continue his hormone training. So I think both of them could have been hormone experts in this timeline. So they're a lot more they're a lot more healthy, and they're a lot more willing to actually get involved in the story. That's just my opinion. I can see Nico can probably be here. Maybe she's on the boat with Joseph. Um, I'm gonna say Avdol could maybe replace like the random Speedwagon Foundation member. Kakyoin could be with Jotaro in the beginning, and Rose can maybe show up like after the fight against what's his face? Akira. That's the only characters I would add in. There's really no other characters. Uh, if you're wondering about like Stroheim, Caesar, Dominic, and Polnareff, I mean not Polnareff, but Julius. Uh, I would just say they're going to be in part 5, and I'll address their role later. Also, on a side note, now I'm thinking, but I actually think I'd just probably kill off Stroheim in part 3. No, nah, with 3 Ultimate Life Forms, I don't think no one's dying in part 3. Well, except Polnareff. But anyway, actually to the whole main part of this whole story. Part 3, I guess regarding part 4, I'm just removing the Ultimate Life Forms to make the part fair, because it would be boring to have them in there. I don't think too much would change. I think everyone who lives and dies are gonna basically be the same. I don't think any of the extra characters like Kakyoin or Avdol or Nico or Rose would die in the part. They could, but I personally don't think they would. Since part 4 really doesn't have any high stakes in the part, I don't really think there's much of a reason need to kill them off. So part 4 happens the same. Nothing really big or drastic really got to happen in this one. So we kind of just get a normal part 4 in this alternative universe. Mine's from like the extra inclusions. And if you want me to go into detail like with like the arcs and stuff, I can if I want. If you want like in the comments, but like that's really it. And that's kind of all I would say for part 4. Now, going on to Golden Wind or Venta Aria. I'm going to start off the part kind of the same, but the only difference is that I would actually add more characters. So it's not just Koichi, I would add Avdol, Josuke, Okuyasu, and Rohan. And I would add extra Zeppeli named Frito, who Josuke and Okuyasu would meet, and then they get scammed by. And he can join the team because they'll force him to join to get some kind of, because of him scamming people in Naples. He'll be a long-lost Zeppeli relative, maybe related to like one of Caesar's siblings or something, who knows. Give them some kind of plot relevancy. Now, if you're wondering their role in part 5, since Polnareff is busy being the boogeyman, this just leads to these 4 being the ones who stuck in Italy doing what Polnareff did. Because Polnareff is gone from this timeline. Iggy could be here, but then again, I don't really know if anyone here knows Iggy. It just depends on how closely tied they are with the Speedwagon Foundation. They're most likely tied in with Zeppeli Inc., which could be Caesar's kind of Speedwagon Foundation Italian brand. So it's like they probably wouldn't really have any ties with Iggy, so he might not even be in the story. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe Iggy can be here. I would probably add him in just because I like Iggy. Now when it comes to how this part could go, I don't think too much. I think when it comes to the beginning half, I do think there would be some extra characters to play some roles in some fights. Like, I can maybe see, like, Koichi maybe being with Naranji during the Formaggio fight. I could see Josuke and Okuyasu tagging along for, like, the Illusio and Gyacha fights. Avdol and Bruno working together to fight Pesky and Prosciutto could be cool. Like, maybe one of them deals with... Maybe have Avdol fight Prosciutto, and because I think that could be a pretty fun fight to watch. And while that's happening, we can get, like, Bruno versus Pesky. I think that could be fun to watch. Got really nothing else to kind of say for the first half. And I still think Bruno's going to become, like, a zombie thing or something like that. I don't really think there's really else much you could really change here. I guess when it comes to, like, the second half, I could maybe see, like, Rohan probably having to be the one who gets affected by talking heads for the sake of the plot. Because realistically speaking, Rohan is just too broken and would just counter it. So I'm just going to say he's the one who gets affected by talking heads. So we can actually get a proper character, a proper arc and storyline out of it. I guess for like a Notorious B.I.G. storyline, I don't think much would change there. Except that maybe like Okuyasu or Avdol or Fugo can shorten the part down. Because I think Fugo would have stayed around in this timeline. I I don't think nothing much would really change, except like maybe some extra fights here and there, because Dival was very scared of people learning about his identity, and having 6 extra people would probably cause him to want to throw more people in there, or more hitmen in there after that. I think in this timeline, I'm gonna keep Abakio dead, but I'm gonna have it be like more of a fault of Frito. Maybe Avdol wants Frito to stay behind to take care of Abakio so he can do his Moody Blue thing. Frito leaves Avdol, disobeys Avdol. Abakio gets Donut. Everything happens there. Apologies. I have my cats around. I'm petting on one of them. Actually, not petting on both of them. Fur's running everywhere and it's getting all over my nose. I'm not allergic to cats or nothing. Don't worry. I'm not allergic to cats. I'm just fur's flying all over the place and it's kind of just bugging my nose. So it's kind of hard for me to speak. But back to what I'm trying to say. Avdol would probably... But yeah, I think that having Abakio's death be caused because of Frito being selfish would be a much better storyline. Gives him at least some kind of character arc. Now when it comes to the rest of Part 5, like the Chocolate and Secco stuff probably still happens. And I guess when it comes to the final fight of Golden Wind, I'm gonna assume for the sake of the story, it's gonna just be Avdol who just takes the Polnareff role. Avdol can save them, he tells the others to get back, he gets Donut, and he gets Magician's Red, or Requiem, or Magician's Redquiem. Pun intended. Garbage name, I know. And then for the body swaps, we'll say Avdol can do body swaps with Requiem, or Redquiem. I'm gonna call it Redquiem. And maybe it can have some additional bonuses, like maybe there's fire added to it, like maybe instead, like if you try to go after it, like if you go after Redquiem, maybe the closer you get with the intention to take the arrow, maybe instead it burns you with something, like maybe instead of its weird body morphing thing, it just actually causes you to get set on fire or something, which could be a cool thing to set up to it. Now for the body swaps, I'm just going to assume like Caesar and Stroheim switch, Julius and Dominic are going to switch, Avdol will take the place of Polnareff, so he's in Coco Jumbo, Iggy's going to switch with like a random cat, and for the other characters, we'll say Giorno and Rancy and Mista and Trish can keep their canon body swaps. And we'll say Josuke and Rohan switch because that could be funny. We'll say Frito and Koichi and Okuyasu and Fugo. Those ones don't really matter. If you want, you could have Okuyasu and Koichi and Fugo and Frito, or vice versa if you want, but I'm just going to stick to that one. I don't really think much would change. Except that in this timeline, I think the one who's good... I actually think that Caesar could sacrifice himself to, I actually think that Caesar could try to sacrifice himself to save Frito, but since he's got Stroheim's mechanical body, it wouldn't have killed him, so Caesar would actually survive. But I do think Stroheim would die in the part, and would die in Caesar's body, but Giorno can heal him, so his death wouldn't be permanent. I think Iggy would die, saving Narantia. Like, maybe he does a sand clone thing and tricks Diavolo into killing Narantia, but he doesn't actually. So Diavolo can just kill Iggy while he's in his cat body. I don't think too much would actually change after that. I think that Narantia would survive in this alternative universe, or maybe he gets killed later off, assuming you want to keep the whole thing of Narantia dying being fated, but I'll say for the sake of the plot he lives, because I like Narantia. I'm biased. I think Stroheim's going to die somewhere in the story in Caesar's body. Caesar probably gets injured in Stroheim's body, but would survive due to the German science hacks. And I'm pretty sure after the body swap, everything goes back to normal, so Caesar can get healed back into his body, and Stroheim would be dead. Avdol would be stuck in Coco Jumbo, Bruno still dies, Iggy dies in Narantia's place, and Abakio still dies. So we got those 4 deaths. And let's be honest, since 4 characters die on their good guy team, let's be honest, Misa's probably gonna milk that whole 4 is a bad luck number thing and annoy the living crap out of the remaining living members of the team. I don't know, I just wanted to bring that up because let's be honest, Mista would do that. But Giorno's still gonna become the boss, and that's honestly all I gotta say there. Nothing much else I could say for part 5, really. So, yeah, let's actually go to the final part, Stone Ocean, shall we? Don't worry, I'll bring back the ultimate life forms. Alright, so I'm bringing back the ultimate life forms here. To be honest, with part 4 and 5, you really couldn't find a way to bring them in, because they would have just shortened down the part ridiculously. In the case of 6, I think you can bring them in around the final 3 days of the story during the whole Dio Suns and heavy weather stuff. So I would put them there around that point. But I actually don't think the beginning half. I actually think there would be changes. Obviously, we keep the beginning where Jolene gets framed. We obviously keep Jotaro getting his memories and Stan stolen by Whitesnake. All that happens, in my opinion, because I don't really think no one gets involved there. But I actually think that we would get more characters. And we get Tenmei, Sophia, Michael. They're here in the story. And not only that, but I also learned how to pronounce her name. It's Taijana. Taijana. That was her name. It was easy. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I don't get why you guys are subscribed to me. I'm probably illiterate. Taijana. She's Dominic and Nico's daughter, and I now know how to pronounce her name. I guess you guys know how to pronounce her name too now. Assuming you guys already knew and never wanted to tell me and leave me to suffer. So it's Tenmei, Taijana, Michael, and Sophia. And then Sophia is not sent to the mission because she's going to be in the prison already. So yeah, that's our main characters of the story. No, Michael actually wouldn't exist, Polnareff's son, because Polnareff is the boogeyman, so he can't exist. So it's just Tenmei and Taijana being sent with Josuke, Okuyasu, Koichi, and Rohan. Joseph and Caesar would tag along because they do their hormone training. Joseph would probably be in a similar state to how he was in Stardust Crusaders, and Caesar would have also been in a state where he would look like a Stardust Crusader version of Joseph. So those two are going to tag along for the adventure. And that's kind of really all I can think of. I guess those characters are the only ones here. I was thinking more can show up, but I think the remaining Crusaders are just going to show up later on in the story. Nothing else would really change in my honest opinion. I think when it comes down to it, more characters can be an extra fun, I guess. Minus from the extra fun, I don't think there's much, I guess, fully really changing. Three more new characters for fun. And we also have like 6 returning characters to help out in the prison. So I think that would be fun to have, but minus from that, I don't really think much is going to change here. I guess big changes are, for the punishment ward half, I'm going to say Hermes would not be injured in this timeline, since I think Josuke, along with Koichi and Okuyasu, actually would have aided Hermes. So in the Sports Max fight, Hermes' injuries aren't permanent, and she doesn't get those injuries, and she's actually going to be participating in the story. I don't think much would change for the punishment ward half, except maybe like the Kenzo fight gets shortened, and we'd probably get like more enemies for the team to fight. Like, minus from that, I don't think too much is honestly going to change. And I think when it comes to the swamp stuff, I'm going to say Tenmei would run off because he wants nothing to do with the team, and Josuke would follow him. Maybe Caesar could follow him, but I don't know. And when it comes to who goes to assassinate DNG, I'm going to say Koichi, Okuyasu, and Hermes would stick around to help Foo Fighters with it. Taijana, Sophia, Rohan, and Joseph are going to help Jolene and Anasui deal with the Green Baby. And I'd say when it comes to Caesar, he's... I guess with Caesar, we'll say he's probably going to try to help assassinate DNG for the sake of the plot, I assume. I think he'll probably just go along for the Yo-Yo Ma stuff. I think he'll go with the Green Baby stuff, so he gets to interact with Yo-Yo Ma. He gets to be with his great-granddaughter. He could try to help Tenmei out, his great-grandson, but, like, I don't know. Oh, yeah, by the way, Tenmei is Kakyoin and Rose's son. Dominic is Sophia's daughter, and Taijana is Julius and Nico's daughter. Yeah, okay, just wanted to remind you. When it comes down to the punishment ward stuff, around the Yo-Yo Ma stuff, nothing much would really change with around the extra characters who I think would travel along for the plot. When it comes to the swamp, or when it comes to the battles with Whitesnake, I think Hermes would try to pick... I actually think Okuyasu and Koichi could prevent Pucci from going after Foo Fighters, or Foo Fighters from taking their own life and causing Atro to die, so they have to do that whole thing there. I think Hermes would actually go against Pucci while that's happening, and I think Pucci would separate Hermes from the others and would actually kill Hermes in the punishment ward. So Hermes dies earlier in this alternative universe, but Okuyasu and Koichi and Foo Fighters are able to escape. I think Tenmei and Josuke can get their own fight with Pucci, and I think Tenmei would get an axe stand, so Act 2 happens like earlier in the story. Act 3 can happen here, and he would almost die to Pucci, but thanks to Josuke, Pucci isn't able to successfully kill him. The rest of the story could go the same. Josuke would almost die, but I think with Joseph and Caesar's hormone training, they're able to keep Josuke alive long enough so that Foo Fighters can eventually get over to him and they can heal him. The Pucci stuff, like the half with like Jolene versus Pucci, I don't think much would change there, except Jolene probably has more help. Maybe she can get Pucci in this timeline, but I'm gonna assume Pucci's smart enough to outsmart everyone else. He's able to distract the others, and I actually think with more characters there, Pucci wouldn't take Foo Fighters stand disc, since I still think he'd be able to take Foo Fighters stand disc, but Foo Fighters wouldn't leave Atro's body since their body isn't that badly destroyed. So in this timeline, I actually think that more characters would prevent Atro/Foo Fighters from dying, and we still get Pucci making his big escape. Nothing else would really change, in my honest opinion. So after that, nothing else would actually kind of really just change, and the only real change is that Foo Fighters would actually survive past this point, and Hermes would have died earlier. So in other words, Hermes is dying around this point of the story, and Foo Fighters is surviving. Nothing else would really change, and I still think we'd probably just get more extra enemies around this point. And I'm pretty sure after this happens, Joseph can get a call in, same with Caesar, and call in the Ultimate Lifeforms for a favor. Because I'm pretty sure Wamu, Santana, and Esidisi could have been around the American area, and they can help out with this half of the story. And when it comes to who's in which arc, I'm going to say Joseph, Caesar, Santana, Wamu, and Esidisi, along with just Okuyasu, Koichi, and Rohan. They'll be with Anasui and Weather Report during the fight with Bohemian Rhapsody. So they get involved with those antics and stuff. And while we're at it, I guess for the later half of the story, for, I guess, like, the whole Rikill and Donatello stuff, Taijana, Sophia, Josuke, Tenmei, Jolene, and Emporio can work together. So, and Foo Fighters. So we get those 7. And I actually think Rikill would turn good in this timeline because there's no Hermes to randomly kill him. Plus Josuke would see potential in Rikill being a good ally, so he would heal him with Crazy Diamond. And Rikill would get his chance to redeem himself and become an ally. So good for Rikill. He actually becomes a useful member to the team. When it comes down to the rest of the story, Donatello half, I don't really think much could change, except they'd probably need to find a new way to survive the plane. I think the team can do something with it. I'm gonna say Taijana or could use her stand, which could probably like use the stand to, I guess, manipulate the plane by some miracle and prevent them all from dying, which is probably the only way I think that would happen. Donatello might still be able to pull off the weather report thing, and if he does, this is an interesting storyline because now you have Weather Report with heavy weather, and he's got to deal with the Ultimate Lifeforms. Now, can all 3 Ultimate Lifeforms prevent weather from dying, along with the other extra allies? I mean, you could maybe have, like, Rohan die in the place of, like, Weather Report, like he uses Heaven's Door to erase Weather's memories, but then that'd probably just lead to Pucci killing Rohan, which that could work, assuming you want to go that route. But I'm doubting that because, let's be honest, even though I like Weather more, Rocky likes Rohan more, and Rocky likes to do a lot of Rohan spin-offs. And I'm gonna be honest, Rohan just has a lot of plot armor, and I can't kill Rohan off, so yeah, I'm guessing Rohan gets to live regardless. I guess one of the Ultimate Lifeforms can take his place, but like even then, it's a similar situation after all. Yeah, sure, you punched Wamu or Santana or AC/DC in the heart, but is that gonna kill the Ultimate Lifeform? Didn't think so, pal. I'm pretty sure Weather's gonna die regardless, because the whole slug thing, it had to be stopped. Unless they were able to successfully go out with keeping Donatello alive long enough so they can force him to use Underworld to undo the effects of heavy weather, which was their plan. And while it's possible, I don't really think it could happen. I'm honestly confused with everything going on with Weather Report. I think he needs to die just to undo the effects of heavy weather. Because, once that happened, you needed that to be stopped because the only reason that happened was because of everything with Donatello. So, yeah, you really need to find a way to undo that. I don't know. Maybe they forced Donatello to do. Maybe Donatello does turn good in this timeline. Like, maybe with enough allies around, they keep him alive long enough and he becomes an ally. Who knows? I'll let you decide Donatello's fate in the comments. Uh, Now when it comes to the Made in Heaven stuff, or the Sea Moon stuff, I actually think one of the Ultimate Life Forms would die to Sea Moon. Or they could probably get, like, hurt against Sea Moon. Um, I don't know. I actually think no one would die to Sea Moon in this timeline. I'm pretty sure Okuyasu could almost die, but with the Ultimate Life Forms hacks, they're just able to keep him alive long enough that he doesn't die. Same could be said for Foo Fighters. So, like, I could see those two almost dying, but, like, they survive because of Ultimate Life Form hacks. But Koichi can, like, awaken Echo's Act 4 because he believes Okuyasu is dead, but in all actuality, they were able to get to him, thankfully. Nothing else would really change after that point, and I still think we get the big return of, like, Jotaro and the others. Now, realistically, the Ultimate Life Forms can just fly over to Pucci, but due to Sea Moon, I actually don't think this would work. I think Sea Moon's gravitational pull would just prevent them from actually flying over to him, and he would still be able to evolve himself into Made in Heaven. Now, assuming we're keeping Made in Heaven Pucci, which I'm going to say that still happens, I'm just going to say that happens in general, he probably is going to be able to be successful in that. Because, let's be honest, fate was literally on Pucci's side when it came to obtaining Made in Heaven. The only thing that was fated for Pucci was that he was going to obtain Made in Heaven, but he was going to die in the process, so that's going to happen. And Pucci still obtains Made in Heaven. Nothing would really change except that I could see Raquel maybe picking a fight. But due to the Ultimate Life Forms here, I think that Raquel would survive. Maybe Raquel almost dies, but, like, with Nico healing him, that would probably be the thing that helps him. Like, Nico, Rose, and Sophia, not Sophia, but, Foo Fighters, they can, like, prevent him from dying. On a side note, assuming Donatello or, like, Weather Report are there, they just make this fight even easier. Because in the canon, it was, like, Weather Stand, that was the only reason they won. Now, I'm pretty sure all the Ultimate Life Forms are dying in this part. I think in this case, when it comes to Made in Heaven, or like Pucci in general, I'm going to say one of them can die to Sea Moon, which I think would make a lot of sense. One of them dies to Made in Heaven around, like, the Cape Canaveral stuff, and another one can die to Made in Heaven once they land into, like, the ocean. But then again, seeing how they meet Foo Fighters, maybe Ultimate Life Form hack-wise, Made in Heaven just can't kill them. But then again, I assume maybe Made in Heaven's, like, maybe just so fast it just, like, straight up blitzes the Ultimate Life Forms to a point where they can't really regenerate. I remember seeing a video done by, like, frickin' forgot his name, I forgot his name, he does, like, JoJo What Ifs, I forgot his name, yeah, but he did do a video talking about, like, Ultimate Cars in Stone Ocean, and he said how Made in Heaven Pucci actually could kill cars, or Ultimate Cars, and I'm pretty sure by that logic, any Ultimate Life Form could be killed by Made in Heaven. I think all Ultimate Life Forms could be killed by all three Pucci stands. White Snake, Sea Moon, and Made in Heaven. So, in other words, I'm pretty sure all three Ultimate Life Forms are just going to die here. Or maybe just, like, two or one of them can die, if you want to keep, like, a Soul Survivor. If we're doing a Soul Survivor story, I'm guessing, like, Santana's the only one that I think would really work. And I'm pretty sure, like, between Caesar and Joseph, I'm pretty sure one or both of them are also dying in this part. I don't really see anyone else dying. I guess the only deaths here I'm seeing are, like, guaranteed are, like, Hermes is dying around, like, the Punishment Ward half. One or two or three of the Ultimate Life Forms die. Joseph and Caesar are probably dying as well. And that's kind of it. Debatably, Weather Report still dies, and that's just, like, that one's kind of a tough one, and that one honestly just depends on how everyone plays their cards in this one. And also, Donatello could survive and turn good, but, like Weather Report, that's honestly just debatable. I think realistically, that's the only way they can turn him good. It would be hard to turn him good, but I think it's possible. I mean, to be fair, he just threw a bunch of... He's very evil and was willing to throw a bunch of kids in just so he can live and obtain heaven for himself. But, like, then again, JoJo has redeemed characters who are downright scumbags. We've seen characters who are scumbags that gotten redeemed in the story. And I'm pretty sure Donatello wouldn't have been an exception for that. I think they could have found some way to redeem Donatello. It would have been a hard way to redeem him, but I think you could write a story where somehow Donatello gets some kind of redemption. Maybe he can die for that redemption against Made in Heaven. Probably not, but yeah, I don't know what I'm saying here. That's all. That's all I gotta really say here. I'm pretty sure like at least two or three of the ultimate life, all three of the ultimate life forms, or two of them are dying here. Maybe keep one of them alive if you want to give like an ultimate life form character some kind of development out of it. Caesar and Joseph are probably dying because they've already lived long enough past Stone Ocean. I don't really think there's much else you can really do with them after Part 6 ends. Hermes is dying. Weathers may be dying. I have no clue with that one. That one's a kind of a funky one to talk about. Donatello can turn, couldn't live. I don't know. That one's up to you. And that's really all I got for this What If. This one was fun to talk about. Or at least I was able to kind of make it fun for me. I know a lot of people probably aren't going to be a fan of it, especially the Part 3 half. But I wanted to experiment, and I actually wanted to try something new with this. I didn't want to just kind of stick to like a cookie cutter Part 3 What If, because I wanted to try to experiment with this one and have a little more fun with this one. I was going to be a little bit of a generic kind of cookie cutter with it, but I wanted to kind of make this more interesting to me, and I know this What If's going to be a little controversial for this, but I actually think improved. I think I prefer this idea for the What If, honestly. If you guys want to share your own version of this timeline, let me know. If you want me to do a more detailed version of this What If, again, please let me know. I'm open to the idea. I honestly think this What If was actually really good. I think it's probably this one actually might be one of my favorite ones yet, actually. I mean, like it had big shoes to fill because the Deodine and the vampire one was very interesting to me. This one somehow was able to pique my interest even more. Like it's a lot weirder, and I wouldn't say it's as impossible as Dio dying to that random vampire, but hey, I actually had fun writing this one. I was underestimating this one. I thought this one was gonna be like a okay, whatever video. Take it out. There we go. Cool video. But honestly, I had fun now that I realized that this What If is actually kind of fun to talk about. So thanks for everyone for watching. And special thanks to Ice Poochie for requesting this What If, because this What If was actually fun at the end of the day. I was actually kind of underestimating this What If. I'm not going to lie. Hope I'm not sounding rude, but I actually thought this What If wasn't going to be that interesting. But somehow I actually was able to have fun with this What If. So a lot of credit goes to you, man. You gave me a good What If to actually prepare. It's something that I could actually make a good What If video on. That was actually unique. I was able to get a unique scenario and actually go different. I actually went a different route instead of going a kind of a completely typical route. I actually wanted to have more fun with this one. I realized something I could do. I wanted to experiment, and I experimented on it. I could go to a more normal version where Polnareff's present in the plot and Iggy's actually present in Stardust Crusaders. I could, but I don't know. Maybe as a comment post, but like I don't know. This timeline I actually find more interesting. It's a more interesting version of this What If. I mean, it sucks that Polnareff just gets turned into the boogeyman, but I want to at least experiment on this What If, so that's really all I gotta say here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.